JCF is short for Jugando con Fuerza, which is Spanish for playing with strength, but it is also a play on words because my character's name is Fuerza, so I am playing with Fuerza. I wanted to start out by clarifying that I am not a pro at this game. Being a pro at this game requires a lot of grinding. Even if I had a 100% win ratio, I do not have the 400 hours required to get to the top. Luckily for me, making tips and tricks videos has more to do with doing research and making calculations than it does with being a pro at the game. So I have done the research and made the calculations, and I have 81 tips and tricks for you. If you want to have a flare on the battlefield, you can change the color of your name by clicking here on the change name button. You will then want to input this code with your desired name here and the number of the color you want inserted here. Make sure everything looks right before you click confirm. While we're here, connecting your Supercell ID will allow you to get a free wizard skin for Barley, and connecting your Facebook will automatically import your friends. They won't automatically become your friends in game, but they will show up in the team up section, which makes it a lot easier to find them. You should know by now that you get free tokens and stars every time an event resets. But what a lot of people don't know is that you can get more stars and tokens from events that aren't even on this page. In order to do this, you need to find a friend that has a game type available to him or her that is not available to you, or even an event with a different modifier. Then you can get additional stars and tokens from your friend hosting that event for you. If you want to spend money in the shop, the best deals in the game are the 4 special offers given to you when you reach experience levels 5, 15, 25, and 35. Buying all of these packs will cost you about $40, but they are by far the best deals in the game, and they will give you a ton of gems. The best way to spend your gems is usually token doublers, but every once in a while you will see the opportunity to buy a mega box for 49 gems, which is a slightly better offer, and you get instant satisfaction. Lastly, if you want to buy power points to max out your account, do not buy power points with gems, because it is cheaper to just buy coins with gems and then use those coins to buy power point. Every time your brawler gains a power level, they get a 5% increase to their health and damage, capping out at 40% when they reach level 9. That might not seem like much, but these increases are multiplicative, which means that a level 9 brawler is almost twice as strong as a level 1. I'm surprised by how many players don't understand this. And then after you get a brawler to level 9, you have a chance of finding its star power, which increases the brawler's effectiveness by another 5 to 15%, making it safe to say that all level 10 brawlers are at least twice as strong as a level 1. For those of you who are new to Brawl Stars, a star power is a brawler's unique passive skill. You can find out info on each of these passive skills by clicking on a brawler from the brawler list. Before we get into the 5 main game types, let's go over a few beginner tips. There are 2 ways to shoot. Clicking and holding the attack or super button lets you aim your attack and even cancel it if you change your mind, whereas tapping them does a quick shot that has an auto aim. Using this quick shot is much better at close ranges in situations where it is easy to hit your enemy, but it is almost worthless at a long range against moving targets, especially if you have a slow attack. It's smart to use a warning shot every once in a while, but using all of your shots makes you vulnerable. So even if no one is immediately around you, just shoot one shot at a time so that you won't get caught off guard. Entering grass makes you invisible. If you get close to someone else who is also in the grass, then they will be able to see you. And if you use your attack, even if you aren't attacking anyone, you will be revealed to all players on the map. The same is true if you get hit by someone else's attack, which is why it is often smart to fire a scouting shot into grass before entering it to avoid getting ambushed. Some supers destroy grass, and it is often strategic to do so, but I will talk more about that when I cover the different game types. As you know, shooting your weapon is what charges your super, but for a lot of brawlers, using your super can also charge your super. For example, if I'm on a map that's good for Ricochet, there have been times that I've been able to use his super 3 or 4 times in a row. This is called super stacking, and it is easiest to do with brawlers that have a knockback or stun. Using walls or debris as cover is essential when going up against a long-range brawler, but keep in mind that brawlers like Piper and Brock have attacks that ignore debris, and someone like Colt has a super that can just shoot through anything. You can see slightly more north than you can south, so being at the bottom of the map gives you a sight advantage. This is especially helpful the more ranged characters that are on the map. Getting star player does not mean that you are the best player on the team. It just means that you did the most damage to other players, and in some situations, playing to get the most damage is not what your team needs to win. Memorizing the movement speeds of each brawler can be really helpful for two reasons. First, so that you know whether or not you should keep chasing someone or just give up, and second, knowing whether or not you can get away from someone or if you should just stay and fight because they'll catch you anyways. The easiest way to get to a 300 trophy level is in solo showdown. In fact, you can get there by just hiding in a bush the whole time, which sounds really boring to me, but it is super effective. After that, the easiest way to get to a 500 trophy level is by finding a good teammate in duo showdown. Solo showdown is no longer as effective because people will secretly team up and work together, which puts a solo player at a big disadvantage. And then after that, if you'd like to get to the top, I would recommend finding two people that you work really well with, getting on Discord together, and finding an event type that you guys can get at least an 80% win rate. But if you're going to make this game your competitive game, please be sure to check out my caution video first so that you know what you're getting into. The first game type available to you is Gem Grab. Winning in Gem Grab is all about having control of the map. Sometimes that includes killing, but often it doesn't. Getting a player to low health and forcing him to retreat to heal up is sometimes just as good as killing him. The current meta for Gem Grab is to have a ranged gem carrier, a bruiser, and a ranged support type brawler, and then to split up into 3 lanes with the gem carrier in the middle. Now that all grass can be destroyed permanently with this last update, I think we're going to see some new metas where some teams will purposely destroy lanes to force a team fight, making some combinations of brawlers not as effective as they once were. But we'll see how that plays out. The best mindset to have going into Gem Grab is that you are trying to get gems further and further into your zone of control. So even if you're supposed to be the aggressive player on your team, if you kill their gem carrier and get 5 gems, you need to fall back to your team's zone of control until you either win the game or you pass off those gems to your gem carrier. Passing off gems requires dying, which is difficult to do well unless you have a team that knows what they're doing. So unless you have a strong team with good communication, I recommend just playing it safe until you win. The ultimate goal in Gem Grab is to expand your zone of control to where you are fighting near the spawn of your enemy. This also requires a good team with a gem carrier that knows what they're doing, but if you pull it off well, it is the best way to secure a victory. Gems spawn every 7 seconds, so keep track of the time and return to the middle when there are enough gems to win the game. Once you've achieved a countdown, your team should start falling back to your spawn point, but you don't want to fall back too quickly or you could get yourself pinned. Once you hit 30 trophies, you can start playing solo and duo showdown, which as I said earlier is the best way to get each brawler to 500 trophies. Showdown is a very simple battle royale game. You get power-ups from destroying crates and killing other players. Each power-up gives you 400 hit points and 10% extra damage. One of my favorite things to do in Showdown is bully other players into giving me their power-ups. This is especially easy at low trophy levels, but it can also be done at high trophy levels if you go unnoticed. Simply wait for another player to use all of their ammo on a crate and then rush the crate. They will be forced to either fight you at an ammo disadvantage or give you the contested power-up. As I mentioned earlier, you can get a ton of trophies by just hiding the entire game. It's super boring, so I don't recommend doing it because it's not very fun, but it is effective for getting a lot of trophies. Regardless of how you play, knowing when to hide and when to fight is incredibly important in Showdown. Killing other players will give you more power-ups, so it is often better to try to get kills. But certain brawlers counter other brawlers, so you want to avoid fights that you will probably lose. In fact, sometimes you want to avoid a fight that you can win because that guy can beat the guy that can beat you. I know that can be a little confusing, so to simplify it, if there are 3 brawlers left that counter each other in a triangle, if killing this guy will give you enough power-ups to beat your counter, then great, go do it. But if that guy has a lot of power built up as well, then you want to make sure that the other 2 fight each other first, so that hopefully he will use his advantage to win, giving you the final advantage. I know many of you would probably appreciate me giving some more examples of who counters who, but those things can change with balance updates, so I'm avoiding specifics as much as possible so that this video will stay up to date as long as possible. However, if this video gets lots of likes and subs, then I will post more videos on Brawl Stars with all of those details. After you reach 150 trophies, you will unlock daily events, which includes Bounty, Brawl Ball, and Heist. Bounty is essentially just a game of who can get the most kills with a few flares to make it more interesting. Every time you kill a player, your team is awarded the number of stars that were over that player's head. Everyone starts with 2 stars over their heads, and every time they kill a player, that number grows by 1 with a max of 7 stars. Now, some players, once they get a lot of stars, they start playing cautiously to avoid giving the other team those points, which is somewhat good, but if you've gotten that many stars, then you are doing something right. Whether you counter those other brawlers or you're just really good at that map, whatever you're doing is working, and you've already gotten more points for your team than they will get from killing you. And once you get 7 stars, your bounty no longer increases, so just keep doing what you're doing. When a teammate gets to 7 stars, then the rest of the team needs to center their strategy around protecting that brawler. Even if your engagements start trading kill for kill at this point, your team will still get the upper hand because kills done by your 7-star player will not increase your team's bounty. Anytime your team is winning with a difference of more than your team's current bounty, it is usually good to slow down the game. This will put pressure on the other team, and if you place yourselves well, you can force the other team to make bad decisions. Brawl Ball is soccer, but you get to kill each other, which is pretty cool. Very much like Gym Grab, Brawl Ball is all about your team's zone of control. Except in Brawl Ball, as soon as one of your teammates picks up the ball, your team is down a man in the fight. So the first noob mistake in Brawl Ball is rushing for the ball, because getting the ball immediately puts your team at a disadvantage. The most important thing in Brawl Ball is to have a good team composition. If your team can win every fight, then you can kind of do whatever you want. But there are a few things that can give you a pretty big advantage beyond that. First, having at least one player that can break walls so that you can clear a path to the enemy goal. Second, having a player with a lot of movement speed or skills that give them movement speed can be really helpful for getting into position to make a goal. This is especially helpful for teams that pass the ball. Do not underestimate passing the ball. I've noticed a lot of teams underutilize this. And then lastly, having players that have crowd control abilities can be really helpful for securing a goal. Teams that coordinate their supers and use them all in conjunction can often create an unstoppable advance with the ball. Heist is also a lot of fun, and it is very different than most of the other game types. Focusing too much on a zone of control can often be a waste of time in Heist. In fact, tricking the enemy team into controlling most of the map is exactly what you want to do in Heist. The only places that you don't want the enemy team is within range to damage your safe or near their safe when you're attacking it. So anytime they're controlling the middle of the map, that's exactly where you want them. The trick is getting past them. Most Heist maps have a lot of choke points, making it difficult to sneak past enemy lines. So the first part of the game for advanced players is usually pretty slow. Both teams are taking shots at each other, waiting for that advantage to make a push towards their safe. This is where it is helpful to have a wall breaker on your team. As soon as they have a super, I recommend using it to create more passageways on the enemy's side of the map. Some people are against this strategy because they would rather use that super for the momentum to make the first push, but I think creating more passageways on the enemy's side is going to be more helpful in the long run, and I think it creates a momentum in and of itself. When your team is able to make a good push on the enemy side, you want to focus on doing damage on the enemy safe, but sometimes it is best to keep attacking the enemy brawlers instead of attacking the safe. I've noticed that a lot of the best players will use their supers to damage the safe, but use their normal attacks for killing enemy brawlers as they spawn. So those are the 5 main game types. Once you hit 350 trophies, you will also get access to the 2 or 3 different weekend events. Each of those events have their own strategies, but I will cover those in a future video. Then at 800 trophies, you will get access to special events, which are one of those 5 main game types with an added event modifier. These modifiers are not only a lot of fun, but they can give certain brawlers huge advantages. So pairing the right brawler with the right modifier can make it a lot easier to increase your win rate and get trophies faster. There are so many examples of this that this also will have to wait for another video. Well, that's it for now. This is my first tutorial video for Brawl Stars, so if you liked it and you want me to do more of these, then please like the video and subscribe to this channel. I can see exactly how many subscribers I get from each video I do, so the more subscribers I get from this video, the more videos I will do about Brawl Stars. Alright guys, I'll see you next time.